So they did not want me filming them, which I understand. You know, I like to film videos of my family, but sometimes the family doesn't want videos filmed of them. So I stopped. I'm gonna start this video off by first stating that this video is exactly why you shouldn't listen to people on YouTube, because just recently I was singing the praises of the A6700 and some little cheap lenses that I got. My SG Image 25mm f1.8 lens actually failed on me. Like, it was tweaking. I think I have some footage of it. I'll drop it in here. But the exposure was just like flickering, I guess. And there was nothing I can do to fix it. And I took it as a sign that, first of all, the A6700 wasn't really what I was looking for in a travel camera. So I decided to give this camera a second chance. I was still within the return period for the A6700, so I returned it and I picked up the Canon PowerShot V1. Happened to be on sale, actually. It was like $850. But I'm not going to make this video too long, but what I'm going to talk about is some settings that I changed from the last time I had the PowerShot V1. Some settings and some rig setup that I changed. The first thing is that I was shooting with a 1/4 mist filter with the JJC filter mount on the PowerShot V1 the first time I had it. I switched to a 1/8 mist because I felt like it was making the image a little bit too soft for my liking. And the second thing is that I used to shoot in shutter priority, maintaining the 180-degree shutter rule, which filmmakers and professional videographers will tell you that that's the way you do it. If you shoot in 24 frames per second, you do 1/48 or 1/50 on this particular camera. If you're shooting in 60 frames per second, you do like 120 or 125. For travel videos and casual shooting like this with this camera, I am just going to throw that out the window, because I find that sorry, somebody's pressure washing something over there, but we're just going to power through as we do in these videos because there's always noises. Furthermore, it'll be a good test for the built-in microphone and wind muff on the PowerShot V1. Anyway, as I was saying, I was finding that shooting in shutter priority, maintaining the 180-degree shutter rule, even using the ND filter, the pre-stop ND filter on this, in the daytime, the lens would still stop down to f8, f9, f11. And if you understand lens physics, when a lens stops down, the lens aperture stops down that much, you start to get what's called diffraction, which softens the image. So what I'm finding is that if I shoot in aperture priority, so keeping the aperture under my control and letting the shutter speed fluctuate to maintain exposure, I get a little sharper image. If you don't mind the softness and the lack of a shallower depth of field, then by all means you should shoot in shutter priority. But for me, I kind of like maintaining a little bit of shallower depth of field. So what I'm finding is that in the daytime, the shutter might go up to 1/400, 1/640. That's fine. I mean, yeah, as you can see here, there's not as much motion blur as there should be, because it's still daytime. I do not have the ND filter on right now, so that's why you're getting a little bit more of a jittery image. I mean, I don't like it as much as keeping the 180-degree shutter rule, but I think it's a fair compromise. And that's all I had to say in this video. Giving the PowerShot V1 a second chance. I almost forgot. One of the reasons the shutter speed goes up so high when you're shooting with the PowerShot V1 in aperture priority is that I shoot in C-Log 3, which has a base ISO of 800, which is kind of high. So because of that, it compensates by having a very high shutter speed. So in the next video I do, I'm going to test out shooting in more of the regular color profiles and not the log profile, to see if I like it first of all, and to see if I can bring the shutter speed down a little more, because you have a lower base ISO of 200, I think. So next video, trying different colors and not being such a snob and only sticking to C-Log 3. This is the last thing I'm gonna talk about, but I was also an audio snob for a long time, you know, manually setting everything, turning off all the noise reduction and stuff. But with this camera, I thought I'd play around with like keeping the audio in auto and putting the wind noise reduction on auto as well. The only thing I turned off was like the noise cancellation, because I find that that feature on most cameras that have it tends to make the audio sound pretty like compressed and weird. So yeah, let me know how this sounds. When I was outside, I was shooting with my like manual settings, but now that I'm inside, I'm shooting with the auto audio settings. Actually, you know what? Let's go outside and see if these auto settings are any better. This is unedited audio, by the way. I decided for this video I'm not going to edit the audio. I'm just going to post it as is. Because, I mean, we all know that we can edit audio in any like editing software you have and make it sound good. But for the purposes of this, for the purpose of science, we're going to leave all the audio as is, even with that like pressure washer that was going on out there. But I just want to see if these auto settings are good enough for the purpose of, you know, vlogging and travel videography versus manually setting the levels and hoping that you get it right for the situation that you're in. So let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching.